As I watch my friends act this out on stage, there are very real things in my head. Except I actually know the ending to my story, and on stage you don't know the ending, but it's very real.
For Americans 18 years old and younger, the U.S. has been at war their entire lives. It's really easy to forget that, but it's important not to forget those people who the policies affect. I've been inspired by a group dedicated to showcasing the stories of war, specifically one woman who's bravely sharing her own story.
Hey, my name is Taylor Gordon, and I'm a dancer with Exit 12 Dance Company.
Taylor's been dancing most of her life, performing on stages like Radio City Music Hall and venues around the world. However, now she's dancing with Exit 12 Dance Company, a company that's driven by the mission to tell veteran stories through dance.
So a lot of the stories of veterans are highly sensitive or very difficult for them to get out in any shape or form, and specifically with words, sometimes it's really hard to put words to the emotions or their experiences. And so through dance, we're able to just get the feeling, we can get the emotion, we can get the sense of what's going on inside, and put that into movement.
I'm Roman Baca, Artistic Director of Exit 12 Dance Company and a U.S. Marine Iraq War veteran. Serving in war was such a transformative experience that I came home very anxious, angry, depressed, and not the person I was before the war. My girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, suggested I go back to the arts to find myself, and I started choreographing. And that turned into Exit 12 Dance Company.
The military is usually seen as something very strong and powerful and masculine, and ballet is something maybe very feminine and very soft and elegant. But I actually think that the military and ballet have a lot in common. The training for both, it's extremely physically challenging. The repetition, the dailiness, the structure, all of that is actually very similar between the two worlds.
I like to tell people that when I was in boot camp, my drill instructor yelling at me was not unlike my Russian ballet teacher doing the same when I was taking ballet classes.
Aside from telling war stories through ballet, Exit 12 also hosts lectures and workshops designed to improve the emotional and physical well-being of veterans through choreographed dance exercises.
So a couple years ago, we developed a movement workshop for veterans called Movement to Contact. What they were meant to be focused on was developing tools to help veterans both transition back to civilian life and also to assist them in their personal or career goals. And what we were finding is that more so than just developing these kind of hard skills that you use in daily life, we were developing these soft skills, imagination, creativity, a way that a veteran could actually utilize these tools beyond our dance studio and utilize them to move their life forward.
Policies to help servicemen and women who come home from war for some reason have caused much debate in Congress for decades. With that said, it's incredibly inspiring to see people use their knowledge and abilities to come up with alternative solutions for those who are most vulnerable.
I think that what we do just adds to the mix of options for veterans and options to be heard, be seen, be part of the conversation instead of just they're home, they're a vet, we know what they are. We don't necessarily know what all of them are or how all of them are and how they feel and what they need to work with.
Though Taylor's work with Exit 12 started with the love of dance and ballet, she found herself personally confronted with a tragic story of war.
My brother joined the Army, and we are actually not a military family, so it was kind of surprising when he enlisted. He deployed twice to Afghanistan. He didn't talk to me very much about anything overseas, but I had a way to connect to him with the stories that I've heard and, I know someone who also went to Afghanistan and that kind of thing. He was supposed to finish his contract with the Army in August of 2016, and a day before he was supposed to be finished with his service, he committed suicide. Unfortunately, we have a history of suicide also in our family, separate from the military side of things. And so he had seen my family go through this before. And so when he did it himself, it was just like, why? Why? What and why? It was a total shock and obviously a big disruption to everybody's life. We had a whole military funeral with taps playing and the flag covering the coffin and all this stuff that just, as it's happening, it's like, is this real? Like, you just never think that that's gonna be you. It just doesn't feel real. But unfortunately, it is real, and it continues to be something that we deal with. Being able to dance with Exit 12, since then, it's allowed me to share my story, for one, and also to feel like I'm doing something to help.
Nick was buried at Arlington National Cemetery, and I went to his wake, and then I went with Taylor to visit his grave when we were in DC. And I remember walking over to Section 60 with her. I hung back out of respect, and I have emblazoned in my mind this picture of her standing next to Nick's grave, trying to hold her composure and pay her respects. There are no words that I can share with you to express how proud I am of her, and at the same time how vital her voice is, especially at this time, with so much going on like this around the world.
Veterans need to be heard, and their issues need to be heard, and I think that we'll continue to have people coming home that need help. It's not really enough to just say, oh yeah, I support the troops, I support the troops. You can support all you want with words, but again, we need to do something.
I'm inspired by the new generation. They're not ones just to solely reach into their pocketbooks and support a cause, but they're ones to tangibly get their hands dirty to support causes they believe in. If this moves you, if this cause is close to your heart because you have someone that served, or because you've considered service, or because patriotism means something important to you, there's so much you can do. A good starting point would be to volunteer at a veterans hospital or a veterans retirement home. And it doesn't have to be that you go into this home and you serve meals or you do some big project. It could be as simple as sitting down with someone and having lunch with them and just hearing their story and asking them how they're doing. My grandfather shared his story with me a couple of years ago on a hospital bed. He's still alive, thank goodness. Veterans like him are aching to tell people about what they went through and what they experienced. And not just because it makes them feel better, but because woven into these stories are lessons that we can learn from and that we can use to make this world a better place. When Taylor suggested the idea of her choreographing a dance about her and her father going through this experience, with the experience being so raw, I just remember being in awe of her courage to tell her story, because it took me years to do so. And then she choreographed this work called For My Father, where she takes the audience through this experience of having a brother, and having a brother who decides to step up and join the US Army, and then having that brother never come home.
Hey brother, where you gone? It's been too long since you've been home. They called it casualty. It doesn't seem casual to me. This old house has got me reeling. I hit the floor upon hearing that star in the dark. and so I know that you can hear me.